Maybe, yeah, just leave it on the. I'm not be using that. I'll use both, so if the camera can see both. Anybody have a fun story to share about their break? Justin, has your hair has grown. You have a cool hairdo. I like your hair. I can't do that. You see, my hair doesn't allow me. Even if I wanted. I can't. Huh? Why? Because my hair is different. It's curly, but not like yours curly. So if I grow it out, it would just become, when it would fall down. It wouldn't hold a shape, you know? You can make fun shapes. I can't make shapes. Yeah. Loveness, how are you? How was your break? All right. Is Linda around? Did she say what? She's still on holiday? Holiday, or she's still away? There, where? Where there? For what? After town. But so she's in Lilongwe. Uh-huh. So why isn't she here? Okay. I had your lecturers also need a break. So I enjoyed my break. We had a peace walk. I took part in a peace walk on Saturday, which was very exciting. We walked from Crossroads, City Mall, all the way to Area 14. And we had policemen who were directing traffic, and we're walking down the road with music. It was very nice. And that's where I got I bled for the cause, you know. And I cut myself with a knife. We were using it to open the water bottles and also for the cord for the banners. And I put the knife in my pocket because I was walking around and just put the knife there. And I was like, okay, remember, there's a knife. Don't be careful. Yeah. And then 1 minute later, I lean in the car to get something, and it started bleeding, and we bandaged it, and then I went and I got stitches. The stitches was more, it doesn't actually hurt, but the stitches they didn't hurt because he put an anesthetic, but it was not exciting getting stitches. The last time I had stitches, I was 4 years old. I have made it almost 40 years without getting stitches again. And now I need stitches. So that was the exciting part. But I'm supposed to go tomorrow. They will take out the stitches. It's healing nicely. So that's the excitement of my arm. So I thought we would start today by going over the mid-semester exam. I know you all worked hard for 3 hours. I was very pleased to see that nobody gave up. Everybody put in the maximum effort. And I'm wondering whether to first go over the answers. I think I'll do that, and then I'll give you back your papers. I will tell you already. Do I tell you now? Yeah. Because I'm sure you're really keen to know that nobody passed. Not even close to passing. So, now I know that it was, I think it was a fair exam, that at second year of university in a calculus class, and the exam didn't even cover calculus material, it was really algebra mostly, it should be possible for you to do everything well. So I hope we can take it as a wake up that, okay, there's things that we need to put even more effort and make sure that we learn these things well. And so we're going to go over the exam and see, how do we do this? How do we do this? Because also now we're going to get into the actual calculus. So enough of doing the algebra. Now we're going to do the calculus part. So you are going to have to work. As hard as you have worked already, you're going to have to do even more to pass this course. So my thought is it will probably, why did he put it there? You need to see this also. I didn't make it clear, huh? Okay, let's, huh?
You did, but the English was
What? Is this? Okay, that's got the, we have a bit of the back of this beautiful head. And then this one is a bit tilted, huh? Yeah, so I might do some things on the board and some things with the projector. So I was saying, my suggestion is to give you back your papers after we have gone through, so that it's less, I think it's less distracting to be looking at the paper. But as we go through, you just pay attention to everything, and then you'll see how I graded it. I'll give you a few minutes to look over it, and then if you have questions, we can also address those. And then depending on how much time this takes, we might continue with the next topic. So the exam had 8 questions and 2 bonus questions. Most people answered all 8 questions, or attempted 8 questions, or 7 or 8 questions. And a good number of you attempted the bonus questions, which I was happy to see. So let me, oh, I want it like this. So the first one asked to write down the solutions of the following equations. And this is one? Yeah. Where did I put my markers? So I hope I don't have to work through every problem. So the, not trick, but when you have equations like this, if you can turn it into a product equals 0, then you know that for something to equal 0, if you have something multiplied by something, right? It's a product. The only way for a product to equal 0 is if one of the terms in the product equals 0, right? So, for example, either this bracket, we have this bracket multiplied by this bracket. So we have a product of 2 terms, x minus 3 and x plus 8, right? Either x minus 3 has to equal 0, and then it doesn't matter what this is. 0 times anything is 0. Or x plus 8 has to equal 0, and this can be anything else, right? So then the answer is, okay, x minus 3 must equal 0, or x plus 8 must equal 0. So for what value of x is this term 0? The answer is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, right? And then what about this one? For what value of x is this 0? Negative 8. So just by looking at it, you don't even have to write anything. By inspection, we say, by inspecting it, by looking at it, you go, I see it's a product, it's equal to 0. First, I should say, when it says write down the solutions is what is the value of x? That's what it's asking. And the answer is 3 or minus 8. And then if you know how to do this, then this one becomes easy also. This is a product of 3 terms. So either 3x minus 2 equals 0, which means x has to be 2/3. Now you might have to do a little bit of 3x minus 2 equals 0, and then you solve, right? That should be quick. 3x minus 2 equals 0. 3x equals 2. X equals 2/3. You look puzzled. Are you puzzled? Now's the time to say. So this is one of the possible answers. Move it over a bit. So this has 3 answers. There are 3 solutions for x. X can be 2/3. Then you can check. If I put 2/3 here, what is 3 times 2/3? What's 3 times 2/3? Michael. 3 times 2/3. Good. Do you agree? Not agree? 6 divided by 3 is 2, but yes. This is like 3 over 1. 3 times 2. You can cancel the 3's and you have 2. Yeah? Is this confusing? Yeah. So this is supposed to be a. So this is supposed to be. This is you're supposed to know this. I assumed that you know this because you're at this stage. This is something that they should have taught you. That you don't have to multiply the whole bracket. In fact, so if you have this will be a quadratic. You will have x times x, which means you will have x squared. And you know there's a quadratic equation you can solve. That's the hard way, that's the long way of doing it, but you can do it. This will give you a cubic equation. You will have x times x times x. You'll have x cubed. You don't have an equation x equals something for a cubic. I think there is one, but it's very complicated. Nobody memorizes that. So that's not the way to solve it. The way to solve it is to notice that this has to be 0, or this has to be 0, or this has to be 0. And then it becomes easy. Now, you might say, but then what about this one and this one? This one is also easy. You just have to rearrange the terms, and then you find the common factors and solve. But this one, you do a similar thing. So minus 3x squared. If you've seen how the other ones are done, minus 12x plus 9. So we want to, can we make this look like a product of terms? That should be our goal, because we know that's the easy way to do it. So I want to make something equal 0. So even before I do that, I'm going to make my life easier. I want to get rid of minus 3. And if I look here, this is a multiple of 3. Yeah, 3 divides into 12, and 3 divides into 9. So if I divide by 3, it will be nice. So I divide by minus 3. I divide by minus 3. And I get x squared equals, now I have 2 minuses, and 12 divided by 3 is 4x. And this is minus 3. So then I rearrange. So I want x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. Now, can I factorize this? Right? Can I write it as x? I have x squared, which is x times x. And then I give you a trick. If you have a plus, that means this times this has to be positive. So either I have plus plus or minus minus, right? But to have now minus 4x will be this plus this. So if I have plus plus, I'm going to have x times a positive number plus x times a positive number, which means I will have positive x's. But that's not going to work. Therefore, I must have minus minus. Yeah? So then the question is, what numbers multiplied together give 3? 3 and 1. And since they're both minus, it doesn't matter where I put it. Let's do that. And then we check. Minus 3x plus minus 1x. Is it equal to this? Yes. So then this is correct. So now, what are the roots of this equation? X equals what? 3 or 1. So that's how you solve that one. Anything else you want to ask about number 1? Okay, so let's go to number 2. Number 2, I don't think so. This is where reading carefully the question is important. Most of you found, so what does it ask? It says solve the following pairs of simultaneous equations graphically. And graphically is underlined. But when it says solve the following, we have pairs, 2 equations, simultaneous, which means there is a solution where x equals something and y equals something that makes both of these true. Most of you correctly solved these systems of equations and you found the value of x and y. But you did it algebraically. And the question asked you to find it graphically. So I didn't give anybody points for this because you didn't do it the way you were asked to do it. Or you solved it algebraically and then you made a graph. But that's not what it asked. Huh? I am my children? You are my children. Yes, which means what? What are you trying to say? So I'm trying to remember when I was a student and when I got a grade, of course it meant, but the grade in the scheme of life, yeah, you can still pass this course. You will have to work hard, but you can still pass. The mid-semester exam is only 20% of the whole grade, right? So it's still very possible to pass. If you do the assignments and then you work hard and you prepare well for the final exam, you can still pass. Don't worry about that. But this is a wake-up call that in order to pass, I'm going to have to, right? This tells me there's things that I should know that I don't really know. I need to study. And I need to learn how to interpret questions. I think one of the main observations I have is not that your math skills are not good, but when you read the words, sometimes it's not clear how the words become equations and symbols, what to do with the words. That's something you need to practice. And if you want help, you say there's this kind of problem, I really don't understand how to even begin, then bring it to class, bring it to me, come see me in my office, we will work together. But that's what it will take. You can't, or you have to sit with the book and read and read and read until, and try and practice problems. Just reading isn't enough. You have to do problems. So here, the way I imagined you would solve it is you need to draw, so graphically you have to make a graph. And you have to be reasonably accurate in the way you make the units. So we'll do something like that. 2x plus 3y equals 5. So we want to write this in the form of a linear equation, because then we know how to graph it. We want to know the slope and the intercept. So how do we do that? So 3y equals minus 2x plus 5, and then we divide by 3. So minus 2/3 x plus 5 over 3. Okay, so now I have the equation of one line, so I can find 5 over 3 is 1 2/3, so here. So this is 1 point. And then minus 2/3, this is 2/3, so it will go through here. So I have, that's one line. And then I do the same for the other one. 5x, let's do it here. 5x minus 2y equals minus 16. So minus 2y equals minus 5x minus 16. Divide by 2y, or by minus 2. Y is 5/2 x plus 8, right? Minus 16 divided by minus 2 is 8. So now I have another one. So 8 is my intercept. Okay, the way I drew it, it's all the way up there. What's another point? So let's take if x equals minus 3 or minus 2, this would be minus 5. Minus 2 divided by 2 is minus 1 times 5 minus 5 plus 8 will be 3. So minus 2 and 3. And then it has a slope of 5/2. If I go to one step to the right, I go up by 5/2. So up somewhere there. So I get a line like that. And the lines cross somewhere here. Then I would say my solution is something like minus, I didn't do it super careful, but minus, so the x value will be a little bit less than 2, a little bit to the right of 2, call it 1.8, and 1, 2, 3, call it 3.2. Something like that. So even if the number is not exactly right, the fact that you work through the problem this way is what I was looking for.
Can you repeat how you find lines?
How?
How you find those lines?
How do you draw the lines? You know how to find the slope and the intercept? If I give you y equals 2x minus 3, come and draw. You want me to show you? Right? So what does it mean when we say, what is the slope and what is the intercept here? Okay. An intercept is, or you call it c, right? You guys call it c? Minus 3. What does it mean intercept is minus 3? Love. When we say c equals minus 3, what does that tell us about the drawing of the line? It will cross the y-axis. This is called the y-intercept. Because when you think about if x equals 0, yeah? If x equals 0, then y equals c. So if x equals 0, then I'm on the y-axis. When x is 0, y is minus 3. So I have a point here. That gives me 1 point. To draw a line, I need 2 points. So all I'm looking for is 2 points. The first point is the intercept. The intercept, I always know x is 0, y is minus 3. Here, the intercept is what? No, that's the slope. 5/3. Right? M is minus 2/3 and C is 5/3. This part. So I go 5/3, which is also the same as 1 and 2/3. So I go 1 and 2/3, and I have my point for this line. These are two different lines, right? Now I need another point, and there's a few ways you can do it. One way is then you look at the slope. You say the slope is minus 2/3. What does that mean, minus 2/3? It means if I go 1 unit of x to the right, the y value changes by how much? By this, by the slope. That's what the slope is. If I move 1 unit in x, then I go up or down by this amount. So if I'm at 1 and 2/3, and I go here, now where am I? Where am I? I have to be minus 2/3 from here. Where is minus 2/3 from here? This is 1 and 2/3. If I subtract 2/3, then I'm on 1, right? So then if I go to 1, I will be at y equals 1, so I have a point here. Now I have 2 points, and I can draw a line. Same one with this. So here we just did the intercept. C is minus 3. Now we know the slope. So if I go 1 to the right, to x equals 1, what will be the y value? So we have 1 point is 0 minus 3. The other point will be 1 and what? It will be the intercept plus the slope. I start from here. I go 1 unit to the right. That means I go up or down by the amount of the slope, which is 2. So I go 1, 2, and I'm here. And now I can draw a line. I can draw a better line, but that's the idea. Another way you can do it is you could find what is the x-intercept. Ishmael, do you need to go sleep? Huh? Oh, this one went to sleep. Where did I put my... James, do you need to go sleep? Do you need to be excused to go sleep? Okay, so what is the coordinate of this point? Say it. Correct. Yeah? You start at -3, you add 2, you get to -1. Now, I hope you, and this is what you may need to practice it, that, do you understand why this? I don't want you to memorize this like a rule. If you memorize it like a rule, you're still going to struggle if I give you different kinds of problems. I want you to understand why the slope tells, yeah, the slope is, how do you calculate the slope? You say delta x over, or delta y over delta x, right? That's the slope. Agreed? What is the delta x? If I go from 0 to 1, what is delta x? One, right? I'm going 1 unit over. So if I know the slope of my line is 2, I'm looking now, I want to know, I'm choosing, I know the intercept. Now I am choosing to go 1 unit to the right. I could also choose 2, 3, you see? Depends on the numbers, what you think will work best. But let's say I choose to go 1 unit. So this is going to be 1. I know the slope is 2 from the equation. I choose delta x equals 1. Now what is delta y? It's 2. Right? Just 1 times 2, cross multiply. So delta y equals 2. So from here, I have to go up 2. That's how I get my new coordinate. What would be the coordinate of y at x equals 2? You think we can find that? Yeah? So if I say at x equals 2, where will my point be? I can choose, so if x equals 2, what is delta x from the intercept point? No. From here, from this point to x equals 2, what is delta x? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. From here to here, how far is that? 2. So I have m equals 2 from my equation. This is the line I want to draw, tells me that this should be 2. Right? 2 comes from the equation of the line. Delta y is what I'm looking for. I don't know. I'm looking for that. And delta x, I am choosing to make it from 0 to 2. Now, what will delta y equal? Delta y will equal 4. So now I add 4 to what value? Right? This is the change in y. So starting from where? Starting from this point. What is the y value at this point? -3. So now we add 4. So I go delta x equals 2, delta y equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have a point here. So then I can make my line better and say the line goes like that. So clearly you need to practice drawing equations, drawing the graphs of equations and play with it. You know, when I say play with it, is try, if I'm here, how do I find there? If I'm there, how do I get to this? If I'm given any, just write down an equation. It's okay, if this was not 3, if this was 2, okay, now what would the line look like? If I change this number, what would the line look like? If I change this number, what would the line look like? Keep drawing lines over and over. Keep doing this until you understand. All right. Because me explaining it again and again, it's not going to help you more. There's a limit to how much explanation is helpful. All right. So that was number 2. Number 3. I thought this was an easy question, but maybe because it was a word question, the main thing that many people missed. So let's read it. Somebody read it for us. James, do you want to read?
Assuming the monthly sales in are related to price P by then is equal to AP plus P. State the value of A. The daily sales 246 in a month. Price of the wake up the value. This is one of the daily only make 100 cakes in a month.
Okay. Before we start, are there any words or terms in here that you didn't understand you want to ask before we actually solve it together? Okay? So before we try to solve it, what is let's try to just describe, how many are we? Where did Charles go? Why he's going to the bathroom. Just describe what is happening here. What is this situation? You have to have an understanding of what's happening. Otherwise, it's very hard to actually work with the problem. So, we have a bakery. We know what is a bakery. What does a bakery do? What does this bakery do? It sells cakes. Okay. And there seems to be something about monthly sales, M. What does monthly sales mean? What is it measuring? Is it an amount in dollars? What is monthly sales? The number of cakes? Okay. The actual money received. Okay, so monthly sales is the money received. How do you know that? What tells you that that's what M is? So we know a linear model is like a linear equation. A model is an equation that tries to describe the real world. Then we call it a model. An equation is not the real world, but it tries to tell us how the real world is. We call it a model. So the linear model is M, the monthly sales, equals A, we don't know what A is yet, we are asked, times P. What is P? Price. So something multiplied by dollars, right? Plus B, we don't know what B is yet. So if this is dollars, then this is probably dollars also. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You can't have cakes equal dollars, right? Dollars equal dollars. Okay. Now, what else do we know already just from this? So the bakery is changing, it can change its prices, yeah? It sells cakes and it decides what price to sell the cakes. This is a business question. You're all studying business, right? Accounting, auditing, it's business. So it has to choose what price to set. If it makes the price higher, will it sell more cakes or fewer cakes? Fewer. If it lowers the price, then more. So there's an inverse relationship. The higher the price, the lower the number of cakes. The lower the price, the higher the number of cakes. So then you can start to imagine, and you're told it's a linear model. So then in your mind, you might imagine a graph. It doesn't ask you to make a graph, but you might imagine a graph. It helps to see it. Yeah? Now, what would be the axes of our graph? What is X and what is Y in this case? They have different letters now in this example. All right? You see something that this looks like the equation of a line, doesn't it? Of course. So we have something times the price. So the thing, what does the bakery control? Does the bakery control how many cakes it sells? No. What does it control? The price. So it decides on the price. That's the independent variable. Yeah? I choose the price. And when I choose the price, then people decide how many cakes to buy. And that gives me some amount of sales, right? So then the sales becomes the dependent variable. So for this bakery, price is the independent variable. And monthly sales is the dependent variable. When you're making a graph, which one goes where? Which one is on the vertical axis? Which one is on the horizontal axis? When you have dependent and independent. Say it a bit louder.
Independent is right.
Huh? Independent. So independent goes on the horizontal axis, usually. The idea is, if you tell me this, then I can tell you that. This one depends on what? On the independent. The dependent depends on the independent. In other words, this is what? A function of this. The dependent variable is a function of the independent variable. How do we draw functions? if we say this M is a function of P, right? Now, which one goes on which axis? Now it's much easier. When I write it like this, which one goes on which axis? M is a function of P. Then we know M goes here and P goes here. So from reading this, we have to be able to identify that M depends on P, which means it is a function of P. So, okay, M goes on this axis, P would go on that axis. And this is all in my mind. Now, is the line, we're told it's a linear model, yes? Which means that the equation will be a line. Will the line go like this or like this? Will it go up or will it go down? So now you have to think. If price goes up, do my sales go up or down? They go down. Okay. So I'm going to have a line like this. If I have a line like this, will my slope be negative or positive? Negative. Okay. So I know M has to be less than 0. Now notice that so this is now the equation of the line. We've just relabeled, we have renamed. Y has become M, X has become P. So now what is the M? What is the slope in this equation? Which of the variables is the slope? A. A is the slope. So A says, now you have to remember, this is back to understand what is a slope. The slope is if delta y over delta x equals slope. Now, we can use the first sentence here, which says, the bakery discovers if it decreases the price of its birthday cakes by $1, what happens? So it sells 12 more cakes. What does decreasing the price look like in our graph? So price is my horizontal variable. So actually, instead of x and y, we can use delta m and delta p. So delta p equals what? And my m is now a. If it decreases the price by $1, then what is delta p? If you decrease the price by $1, how would you write that? Delta p equals what? It's a change in the price, right? To decrease the price is to change the price. By what? By 1, but you're decreasing the price. So it's -1. Yeah? When I have delta p -1, what is delta m? When the price goes down by $1, what happens to... I sell 12 more cakes. Now I just realized well, it's 12 times p, actually. Because this is in sales, this is in dollars. So technically, it should be all right. So now we can find A. Delta M is 12 divided by negative 1, which is negative 12. Yeah? Now, I talked through all of these steps. In my mind, they just happen. I don't draw this on a paper and ask myself this, because by now I know. I just read the sentence and already I'm thinking of all of this and I can just go to this right away. But if that's the goal, that you become comfortable enough that when you read this, you're able to go right away to this. But to begin with, you might need to think more step by step and think about what is this describing, and then how do I write that mathematically. Yeah, I'll come back to whether there should be a P there or what to do with it. I'm a little unsatisfied with that. Okay, so that's the answer. A equals minus 12. There's another way you could do it also. No, we'll leave it at that. Okay, so we have A. A is minus 12. What does B ask? Do you want me to do all A, B, C, D, or it's okay now? Do you need... Are you squinting because you can't see clearly? Do you need glasses? Huh? You need glasses? Maybe sit closer. Try sitting closer. You can sit there and you'll see both better. Or sit here maybe if you... I mean, it's up to you. I just... I just realized, okay, technically this is 12 per dollar. That's where the P comes in. And the sales is actually the number of cakes. So then you have A times P. If A is a number per dollar times dollars, then the dollars cancel. And then M is just the number of cakes. Huh? Good. Yeah. So now let's use our equation. If the bakery sells 240 cakes in a month, when the price of the cake is $14, work out the value of B. So now we have sales 240, price is 14, A is minus 12. We're asked for B. This is all the information. And I know that M equals AP plus B. Can I find B? Yeah, now it's simple. You just plug in the numbers and you solve for B. Right? So if you do that, you get 408. Do you need me to do the calculation, or you can do that?
It's okay.
Okay, now use this model to estimate monthly sales when the price is $9. So then when you do this, you find B is 408. So now what is the equation of the line? It's M equals minus 12P plus 408. Right? Now we have, this is the linear model. This is the model. Now you're asked, use this model to estimate the sales when the price is $9. By the way, when it says estimate, it's another way to say calculate it. You're going to get an exact answer. It's not estimate like guess. You calculate, but it's called an estimate because you're using a model. And people don't follow mathematical laws, right? So the model estimates that if the price is $9, you should sell how many cakes? It's an estimate in that sense that the math, the equation, this whole equation is what we think you will sell if the price is, depending on what the price is. But this may not be exact. Yeah? If you actually go and measure, maybe one at this price you sell this much, this much, this much. But the model is that. Are you trying to find 408? Did you find? Is it right? You didn't get 408? Or are you trying to do C? What are you trying to calculate? What are you trying to calculate? Huh? With what you solved on the exam? Okay. Justin, what are you calculating? The what is positive? Aha. And that's the issue. Yeah. That will give you the wrong B. So now we say if the price is 9, so then you just plug in. If price is 9, then 9 times 12 is 9 times 10, 90. 9 times 2, 18. 90 and 18 is 108. Minus 108 plus 408, that's 300, right? Then M equals 300. Okay, so that's how many cakes I would sell. So notice, if the price is 14, I sell 240. If I reduce the price to $9, which is $5 less, then I sell 300. So then I can check. If I reduce the price by 1, I sell 12 more. So if I reduce the price by 5, then I should sell 5 times 12 more, right? How much is 5 times 12? 60. So 240 plus 60 is how much? 240 plus 60? 300. So it works. Yeah? 2 different ways to get the same answer. You know, you're confident that the answer is right if it's consistent. If I calculate this way or that way, I get the same answer, then probably it's right. Okay, so 300. Last question, if the bakery can only make 168 cakes in a month, work out, so calculate, the price it needs to charge to sell them all. So you're thinking, well, I want to charge the most I can. I want to set a high price, but I still not so high that I don't sell them all. I want to set the price just enough that all of them get sold. So how do I solve for that? How do we set that up? So we start again with our equation. M is minus 12P plus 408. Now, so in C, I was given the price and asked to find the sales, M. Now it's the other way around.